Oh my goodness. Bro, I was just like, seriously, I was just buck naked about to take a shower, and then I look at my phone and Chase texted me, and goddamn, this is a huge trade. So, without further ado, let's get right to it. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs, the St. Louis Blues, and the Minnesota Wild in this trade. So, going to Toronto, Ryan O'Reilly and Noel Acciari. St. Louis gets prospect Mikhail Abramov, Adam Gaudette, 2023 first round pick from Toronto, 2023 third round pick from Ottawa, 2024 second round pick from Toronto. And then Minnesota, which is the third team in this trade, and retaining 25% of the salary, is 2025 gets their Toronto's 2025 first round pick, and of course O'Reilly's contract is 75% retained for um, for Toronto now, as St. Louis took 50 and Minnesota took 25. So, first impressions, this is a really, really good trade for the Leafs, because while Ryan O'Reilly isn't exactly having his greatest season, his offensive production has dropped off a bit, but it's still not that bad. It could definitely be better. Actually, no. It's an understatement to say it's dropped off a bit. It's dropped off a lot. He's previously hovered around 60 points per season. Not usually in full seasons. Like last year, he was 58 points in 78 games. Season before that was 54 and 56, 60 and 71. This year, he only has 19 and 40. But his expected goals hasn't his expected goals like per 60 hasn't actually dropped too much. It's just that he's getting pretty unlucky. Still, his shooting percentage, his expected goals per 60 minutes is 0.86, and goals above expected is, which is pretty good for any player really. And but he isn't exactly converting on too many, though he is actually converting more than he was last year. So overall, O'Reilly's not actually having a great season, which is why his value is actually kind of low. But honestly, the St. Louis Blues themselves have been having an absolutely horrible season. And if I go to pull up their stats now, you'll see that they are currently, what is it? Expected goals percentage. They are 26th in the league, which is, expected goals percentage is the share of the goals that the team is expected to get based on how well they play. So these stats are from Money Puck, by the way. So overall, they're really not doing that well, and obviously O'Reilly's lower production has been a factor in that. But if he comes to Toronto, that's obviously a change of scenery, where he'll be playing with a lot more skilled players, and that might help his production a lot too. Um, so it's a bit of a risk if he doesn't actually get any better, but at the same time, it's Ryan O'Reilly, and he's been consistently pretty good over the last, I don't even know how long now, since he broke out really in, is it Colorado or Buffalo? I think it might have been Buffalo, where he really had that really great season. Maybe let me check right now, 60 points in 80 games, anyways. And obviously, he's also been a Selke candidate, a really good defensive forward, which the Leafs have a decent amount of now. So it's been a part of their identity now that they have a lot of really good defensive players, and it's helped them with their defensive game this season. And I really don't know how O'Reilly will fit into the system, because I haven't watched too many of O'Reilly play, but a player that just that skilled overall and has that much experience, has won a Stanley Cup and has played a big role. He was the number one center for the Blues at that time, I think. So yeah, I don't see him hindering the team in any way. The same way that maybe Nick Foligno kind of pulled down on the team because he wasn't really up to snuff. But that's O'Reilly. That's my quick quick analysis of O'Reilly. But what I didn't expect in this trade was Noel Acciari. And Noel Acciari has been having a pretty decent season compared to what he's had before. This year he's played 54 games. He has 18 points, which is almost a career high. His career high is 25 in 65 games. Um, um, but his expected goals is the highest that he's ever had in any season already, and there's still a lot to go. So I wasn't expecting this kind of player. You know, he's going to be in the bottom six of the Leafs, obviously, and he's also been very unlucky. His goals above expected is negative 3.6. Um, so I don't know too much about Noah Chari, but from looking at his stats, it seems like he's a very good bottom six player. Um, as for his defensive capability, he's about average, maybe a bit, but um, I think that's something. I didn't expect to get another piece out of a trade with Ryan O'Reilly. I thought that'd be just one piece right there, and giving up just the first and Mikhail Abramov, who is a good prospect. He is a very good prospect, but I'll get to that. It's really not that much. It's not as much as I expected, even if this draft is deep. So what I'm looking at now is just trying to find some more stats on Noah Chari, because I'm doing this like on the spot. Like I said, I was just about to take a shower. I was buck naked a couple minutes ago. I had no chance to prepare for this. But yeah, so the Leafs, obviously, they have that amazing top six where right now, Calle Yarncroc is slotted in on the second line with second 1B line with Tavares and Marner, and he's been pretty good. He has actually been very good, I would say, for being a role player. But now you have to expect that maybe Riley takes a center, or Riley takes a center, or Tavares could even stay at center because he's been actually a very good defensive player this season. He's been in Selke talks. I don't think he'll win it because just Bergeron, but you know he's actually been pretty good. So overall, that second line has just turned into a defensive dynamite with three really, really, really good defensive players that line can shut down any line in the season, even Boston's first line or Tampa's first line, who it looks like the Leafs will be playing in the postseason. So you know, it's a big boost to their defensive play, and I don't know if it'll help too much offensively because, like I said, he hasn't been having the greatest season. But obviously, he is a skilled player, uh, more skilled than Yarncroc, at least, and that should, um, what's it called? And he's been playing with Tavares and Marner, which is very high standard, so that should help his production as well. But Noah Chari probably slot in fourth, third line. I don't think he probably will have to fight for a spot because there are a lot of good players in the Leafs bottom six, or even coming up from the AHL that have been impressive. So I think he will have to fight for a spot, but I do think he'll have one because he is seems to be having a really good season. Um, as for what the Leafs gave up, now Mikhail Abramov, this is a prospect that has developed into someone that is actually pretty decent. He wasn't exactly a huge name before, but Toronto media made him into big one, and also by just his own merit because he's produced well. He's produced well. He's in the AHL right now. He's had 27 points in 57 games, which isn't amazing, but it's for someone who's 21 years old, it's not the worst either. So he's like a B middling prospect, really. I don't think it. I don't think it's a huge loss for the Leafs, who have a lot of really good forward prospects that are all pretty much ready for the NHL at this point too, like Matthew Nyes, Bobby McMahon, and Joey Anderson, who are a bit older but have both got looks. Obviously, Nick Robertson too, who is injured, and I don't think the Leafs will be trading him. I know there are rumors, but his value is at an all-time low, so I don't expect that. So I don't think it's the worst thing to give up. Uh, Sorry, he didn't have 27 points, 57, 16 points in 34 games. That was a mistake, sorry. I don't think it's the worst thing to give up Abramov. Adam Gaudette is just a depth player. He's in his prime. He's not going to get any better than this. He was, I think he was a signing. I want to say he was a signing. I'm pretty sure he was a signing that Dubas made 2 last season. Man, it's hard to keep track, but I'm pretty sure it was that. So far in the AHL, he has 34 points in 40 games, and he is currently 26 years of age. So, this is what he is. He's a fourth line player, maybe a replacement level player, but he could definitely. He has had seasons where he's been, touted to be something better. In Vancouver in 2019-2020, he had 33 points in 59 games. He hasn't really been able to match that lately, but he does have that skill. So maybe there is something there that the Blues liked. Obviously, the first round pick is the big piece here because this is a very deep draft. But for the Leafs, and like Brian mentioned in a couple of videos ago, there are a lot of first round talents like that could be very good, like top 6 level players or top 4 level players or starting goalies that are in the first round, and the Leafs are giving up a chance at one of those. But if the Leafs, this is a move that may be able to push them over the top, and obviously there is a caveat that comes with that being it's the Leafs, but it's a big move that can really help them. So they're hoping that this is a very late pick, even if even if they do go up first round, it'll be in mid-20s. So it's not the worst thing to give up. And the second and third are obviously. The second is actually not that bad, I don't think, because that draft is actually pretty weak. The 24 draft is actually pretty weak. There's a couple top players at the beginning of the first round. After that, I don't see too much. But obviously, I haven't looked into that too much. That is definitely more Ryan's jurisdiction. God, I can't talk. I'm just too excited. And the 2023 third from Ottawa is also not the worst thing to give up. I just don't understand how it was this little. I feel like it should have been a lot more, and now my laptop is bugging out. God, this is not the time. Anyways, let's just keep going. And obviously, retention is just to keep the Leafs under the cap. It's honestly weird. I didn't think that they would need the retention from Minnesota because right now he's at 1.875, and if I go to cap, bro, I cannot see, my laptop is bugging out. This is not good. He's at 1.875, and if I go to cap friendly right now, come on, let me go to cap friendly, please. Anyways, I don't think the Leafs have that much. I think the Leafs have a decent amount of cap space with Muzzin on LTIR. So I don't actually think that was required. Maybe there is more moves coming, and that's why Dubas is doing this. But at the same time, I don't see a big move happening where it would increase the Leafs salary cap by a lot. Actually, no, I lied. The Leafs only have 1.1 million cap space before they got O'Reilly, so I don't actually know how that works. We'll have to see. I'm gonna post an update later when the details are fleshed out. But yeah, the cap situation, I don't really know how that works right now, but we'll see. Yeah, overall though, the Leafs lineup is looking really strong now. So obviously you have the first line of Bunting, Matthews, and Nylander, who have been producing pretty well. Matthews is now back, and so hopefully they manage to keep that up. Now the second line, I'm going to stick O'Reilly on the wing for now, just because Tavares has been better defensively this season, and the center obviously has more of a defensive role. And then Marner on the right wing, as usual. Now, third line, this is where things get interesting. Well, it was already interesting at the second line, but third line, I don't know now what happens because there are just too many good players. It's a good problem to have, but it's still too many. So Camp is obviously at center. He's been a really good defensive center for the Leafs for a couple of seasons now. Engvall has been producing really well. He probably stays on the right wing. Jarnkrok, who was previously on the second line, moves down to the third line. That is a very strong defensive, just two-way third line right there. That is now two like premier shutdown lines, I'd say. Not shutdown. Uh, actually, no, I'd say shutdown. Those are two shutdown lines right there in the second and third line. And the first line is obviously no slouch either with Matthews on it. It's a very good defensive line. And fourth line, now Zach Aston Reese, who's been a very good physical presence for the Leafs, and I'm sure that'll help in a playoff series against Tampa, Boston, heavier teams. Noah Chari, is a center, so he'll probably play center. That's what I'm thinking. Does that push Pontus Holmberg out of the lineup because he is waiver eligible, I believe? Maybe, but he's obviously been really good this season. Who else could it be? Maybe. Man, I can't even think. This is really bad. I'm sorry. There's also I can't remember any players. Maybe Bobby McMahon has also obviously got a spot too. Joe competed for a spot. Joey Anderson has actually been. He seems like he's taken a spot on that line. He's been really, really good. Who else? There's also. Oh, I can't even forget. Kerfoot is still on this team. So man, I forgot. Okay, so Kerfoot is now probably on the fourth line. He's been pretty decent on the third line too. Obviously, I don't think he's $3.5 million worth decent, but he hasn't been horrible. Who else? I think I'm missing somebody. I think that's. Oh, Dryden Hunt too, but he's in the AHL. He probably doesn't have that spot anymore. So I think that's just that's a really strong defensive and offensive lineup right there. All of these, there's like premier defensive forwards like Matthews, O'Reilly, Tavares this year, Marner, Kampf, even Yarncroke to an extent. Kerfoot is also shown that he has that ability. So many penalty killers, which is something that the Leafs have had to have to clean up. Man, this video is getting long, and I want to get it up quickly. So, I'm gonna end it right there. But if I had to give the Leafs like a rating on this, I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10. That was maybe even 9. Dubas is an amazing general manager, and I think right now this is a bordering on a fleece, like genuinely. That is a lot to give up for not that much. If you're looking from the St. Louis Blues perspective, and honestly, it has the potential to be like not that great. Obviously, if O'Reilly doesn't step up his production, but if you're playing with players as skilled as Tavares and Marner, you really, really should. So I think that it's probably going to work out just fine. And this is an amazing trade for Toronto. I don't really have much else to say. I can't criticize it that much. I can't say they gave up too much. They got the wrong players. No, this is perfect. And I think this might be the last push that they need. It really might be the last push. So we'll probably go deep into this. I'll get Ryan on here. I'll get Shay on here. I'll get a couple guys on here. We'll go deep into this to figure this out. Like every single thing about this trade. Because right now, even on Cap Friendly, this hasn't even been updated yet. So I can't look at the cap situation. But yeah, we will definitely talk about this. And thank you for listening. It's a very interesting trade. And I think it helps the Leafs a lot. And I myself am very happy with it. Kyle Dubas did a good job with this. So, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you very soon.